what made you want to be able to get the rights to be able to, produce this film and bring it to audiences around the world?
Yeah, for me personally, we both have something in common in that. For me personally, my wife had this book as a staple in our household, so my kids are very familiar with it. They read it every year, especially growing up through the elementary school years, and so it's a lot of pressure on me when Dad all of a sudden was going to be like, I'm going to make this into a movie. They're like, yeah, whatever, sure you are. And so, but Dallas, this is his lifelong passion. And so when you have those two combinations coming together, you got a director and a storyteller and a filmmaker that wants to be able to bring something that also means a lot to the producer. I think what we've delivered is going to really matter to people.
And the performances in this, oh my gosh, what? Casting all of the Herdman children. Can you guys talk a little bit about that? Because I swear, those 6 kids, and all the children really did. Without that piece, you totally missed the heart.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, when we were casting, on the surface, this is a classic Christmas comedy, and it's going to make you laugh, it's witty, it's nostalgic, all of those things. We deliver the Christmas. That said, if we don't deliver the heart, if at the end of the movie we're not walking away with the message of the nativity story and understanding how to love and appreciate and even learn from kids who are maybe in poverty or on the outside, kids who aren't seen, or if they are seen, it's out of fear or resistance. That was what drew me to the story. And to find the kids who can perform that, who can shift from comedy into emotion, in many ways was miraculous. Some of the scenes at the end, I'm like, I can't believe these kids, those are real tears. These are kids who are really bringing something beautiful to the story. And if they didn't, the movie doesn't work. And so we were so grateful.
Beatrice, I was like, who is this child? I need to know more about her. Just you're talking about that scene at the very end. If that doesn't tug at your heartstrings, I don't know. You must not have a soul.
Well, I actually have with me. This is the book that my wife brought home 20 years ago. The actual copy of the book. And when I got to the last chapter, I was crying so hard I couldn't read. And I'm handing it to my wife, and she's crying, and she hands it back to me. And I thought, I have to make this movie, and I have to capture that moment. I have to capture that ending. And so far in all the screenings we've seen, it worked because the audiences are walking out. They've laughed, they've enjoyed it, but they walk out with tears.
Yeah, and the search for finding Beatrice, for finding our Imogene Herdman, it was exactly that. She had to deliver that moment because if she didn't, then we don't have the same movie. And she was just, Beatrice is so great. What a special talent.
What feeling, and we've talked a lot about our feelings, what feeling do you want audiences to remember this movie with when they leave the theater?
Well, the last words of the book and the last words of the movie are, "Unto you a child is born." Now that's a phrase that comes from the Gospels, that the angels delivered this message to the shepherds. And here's what's cool about that story. The shepherds were outcasts. The shepherds were in poverty. They're out in a field. They're the kind of people who aren't accepted typically by general society. And the angels came to them first and gave the message and the story to them and said, "Unto you a child is born." And there's a moment in the movie where the herdman kid that you'd least expect to deliver a message like this, the little girl who's like mean and nasty and in poverty and on the outside, and she's the one who has that line, and she yells it from the rooftops, and because she's so passionate about it. And that got me when I was reading the book. It gets people in the movie, and I go, I think that's the whole heart of this movie. Unto you a child is born. 2,000 years ago, in a stable, in an unlikely situation, someone who we would typically think of came as a conquering king actually came as a humble servant. And when you look at a nativity scene and you see Mary and Joseph, and everything's pretty, and they tend to be white, right? Tend to be blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and everything is precious, and everything is perfect. And you go, that's actually not the heart of the story. The heart of the story is poverty, is outsider status. And so I'm really grateful that people, when they watch this movie, if you're someone who's been on the outside, if you're someone who has been in poverty, if you're someone who has been rejected by traditional society, this is a love letter to you. And that you might be closer to the heart of the story than those who are maybe trying to keep you out. And so we've been grateful that people who've come away from this movie, those who are on the outside feel seen, and those who sometimes maybe are on the inside or who put on pageants like this, learn a lot too.
I think, look, we want audiences to be entertained when they're buying a movie theater ticket and going to the theaters. But at the end of it, if people go, oh, this is why we celebrate Christmas, this is why we go buy our Christmas tree, and they discover something in a way that's in an entertaining form, then I think we've done our job.
Well, thank you. I do want to quickly point out, though,
Yes.
and we'll take time for this, is that if you see the movie early, so it comes out November 8th, but November 2nd, we're actually giving people an opportunity to see it a week early, and you can take your family and you actually get kids coming free. So you buy a ticket for yourself, you got a kid comes free. So you can't, how can you turn that down?
You can't miss.
And especially right now, where there are very many families struggling, to offer that is an absolute blessing, and thank you guys for that.